Good morning, YouTube. It is May 5th in the year 2025 of the year of our Lord. I was thinking about a topic. My child, they said she was a genius. She's a genius. When I went on my music interview, the guys holding the interview said everybody thinks that their child is a genius because people keep saying it without actually realizing what genius potential is. Before I go on, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell for more content, and share. People've got to really understand what genius potential is, and more notably, you've got to compare your child to geniuses in the past, especially if we're talking about in specific things. Now, you can be genius in one thing, and you can be plumb dumb, no common sense, no street smarts in another. Let's just put that out there. Musically speaking, when people say they're a genius, we've got to go back to the geniuses that we know in our lifetime, especially when it comes to that specific talent or skill, i.e., my child is a genius, musically speaking. First geniuses I know of is Michael Jackson. There are pictures of this kid doing stuff at the age of 5, 4, that they were comparing him to adults. 6, Stevie Wonder, a musical genius, child prodigies. It's very, you've got to understand that. You've got to understand, hey, they're genius. Okay, well, let's look at some geniuses in the past. And then you've got to also compare them to children, and I'm going to say this, not within their class, but children either nationwide or children around the world. Greg Gaines, man, what he does with the piano, with the music, you can quote unquote say he's a genius. If you suspect that your child is a genius, also, you've got to water and nourish the genius, because genius, if you do the studies, can be lost or diminished. Genius can be lost or diminished. And I've seen it in my family. My niece, namely. When I saw her at 3 years old grab the piano and drag it up to me and began performing, I stopped and I said, "That's amazing." There's certain things. Now, if I call your child a genius, he's a genius. Because there are certain attributes that I can spot. In a classroom of musicians, there are certain attributes that I can be like, that one right there. Out of all these, yeah, they're good there, but specifically that one. Look at A, B, C, and D. There are certain coaches, when they're scouting these young kids at kindergarten level for football, the Texas Titans, there's certain things that they can say, out of all the class, this specific one right here, there's certain things that we look for. Now, at the same time, there are also levels. There are levels to smartness, street smartness, intelligence. There are levels to genius. i.e., my wife, she's drinking all this water. And they're saying that, we can drink 64 black. And mind you, my wife's a nurse practitioner. And I said, no, that is a myth. That is a myth. And I literally began to do the breakdown of what drinking excess water is doing inside your body. I tell her, I said, hey, if your body has no way of expelling or getting rid of the water, you're just retaining it. If you have a salty diet, the sodium in your body is sucking up that water, and you're going to start looking bloated. That is why. And I literally now I'm not a medical professional, but okay, and no, I'm not a genius, but there is a level of intelligence that I have. Before they started coming out with cars that had 7-speed automatic transmissions, I was already thinking that back in the 80s. And I was like, well, if they could do this with a 10-speed, then they could do this with a car. And that was something that if your parents would have paid attention to, you were supposed to water that. Okay, come here. I know you bad as all can get. But what'd you just say? Or even sometimes when I'm in the pool business, there are certain things that literally my thought process, boom. We were trying to plug a leak up, and I didn't have no putty. And I walked past it, and I was chewing gum and stuck it right there without a thought, without giving it a second thought. And the kid that was with me was like, he just stared at me in amazement. Or when I had to unplug a clog and I used air pressure. Now, mind you, no knowledge of how things work. Didn't go to school for plumbing, but because my thought process literally is firing on all cylinders. It's like, wow, that was really amazing what you did. And to me, I'm thinking it's just normal stuff. I'm like, no, that's just normal stuff. But if your child is demonstrating or exhibiting these things early, usually you're going to catch them somewhere around the age of 2-3 years old. It's like when people ask me, hey, what age should I get my child in piano? And some people say, well, as soon as they can sit down, and start playing. My take is as soon as they gravitate towards it. There's got to be a gravitational pull towards that thing. It's like me, I had a gravitational pull towards weather, and I'm explaining clouds and updrafts and all this stuff at an early age. But if the parents ain't around, who's there to catch that? So genius number one, I told my wife, I said, I believe everybody has genius potential. Everybody has genius potential. This is my personal belief. However, it's something that's got to be caught very early. Very early. I told my wife, I said, if I had kids, I'm gonna just sit down and stare at them for about 2 years. I ain't gonna even give them a name. They're gonna be boy, girl, just like the Simpsons. And I'm gonna stare at them, and I'm going to watch them, and there's gonna be watch how they communicate, watch how they do this. That's actually what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to observe our children, understand the genetics that we have within us, observe our children, and then pull out the talents and the gifts that are in them and nourish those gifts. Is my child a genius? I believe children have genius potential at an early age. They're like sponges. They're absorbing everything. They might see extra bright colors. They might, hear things and do all these things. But the parents have got to catch it. And once the parents catch it, hopefully it's around the age of 4 years old, all of a sudden the parents, or you've got to give that child to you've got to go from the windows to the wall with this child. Windows to the wall. However, There's a however aspect of it. Children just want to be children at the same time. So you've got to have a healthy balance of, no, go ahead and take a break, do A, B, C, and D. They want to be children. So I'm trying to figure out how to label this. Oh, now they have this gate closed. What time is it? Oh, they got them strips on the ground? Yep, they got them strips on the ground. Means I gotta come back here. See if they... Huh? God is good. Open both gates. Usually there's a you can't get in here till around this time. But yeah. My child's a genius. Are you a genius? If you have these questions, if you're later on in life and wondering these questions, you remember some of the things that you used to enjoy doing, your level of creativity as a child. Me, I'm not a genius. But I know one thing. I know I'm gonna outwork you. I know when we get into the field of competition, I'm gonna be the Michael Jordan. I may not be able to do genius things, but I'm gonna get you. That's one thing my piano teacher said. She said, you work really hard. It's my work ethic. So, if you think your child's a genius, remember these things. It's got to be caught early. It's got to be watered. It's got to be fed continuously. And keep this in mind. If these things don't happen, geniusness can be diminished. Keep this in mind. So these are some helpful things for when people say, hey, my child's a genius. Okay, and first question you should need to ask is, okay, what is he doing that makes you think they're a genius? Compare them to not people in the class, but people in the nation. And then you got to look at geniuses around the world, and then go from there. Peace.